Hello, everyone. Good evening and good day to people who just started their day. My name is Anya. I'm one of the co-directors of Psychedelic Society. And we are hosting today David Drapkin from Psychedelics Today. And the event will be hosted by my lovely friend Ashwin. But I'm just here to make a little intro. So basically just wanted to explain maybe why are we hosting Vital and Psychedelics Today and why we're partnering with them. It's very important actually to mention. The training that they run, we promote it and we have certain financial benefits from it. They donate 5% of every ticket to us, which helps us then to give free harm reduction resources, give free spaces for integration circles, and do a lot of good things. But also just to mention that we do not partner with just anyone. We're really careful who we partner with. We want to make sure that our community has access to safe professional courses and offerings. And Psychedelics Today, they are a wonderful company with very aligned values to ours. They have really wonderful training, which is run by people we have worked with in the past, who have been workshop facilitators and speakers for us as well. That's why I think you're in very safe hands. So today, David will soon join us. He will give a bit of a presentation about what Vital is. Then Ash will follow up with few curated questions to answer. Oh, hi, David. David is with us now. Hello, David. Ashwin, you can join us as well now, if you want. So David will give a little presentation, then Ashwin will follow up with few little questions that a lot of people ask on email already, and we know that people want to know those answers. And then I will open up to you guys, and you are free to come on screen, raise your digital hand, and then we just speak when you're called, or you can type your question in the chat and we'll try to take questions from the chat as well. If you want to stay anonymous, just send a direct message to Ashwin. So this is all from me. Without further ado, I'll just ask Ashwin to come again on screen and say hello. And Ash, I believe you can be managing the waiting room, and I will leave you guys to it. I don't know if Ashwin want to say anything before we start, but I'll say goodbye and everyone to enjoy the webinar.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ashwin. I'm the digital chap, as it were, with Psychedelic Society. Some of you guys may have seen me earlier last week when we did a little preview session with David. I will be moderating the chat, but enough from me. Let's get to David.
Thanks a lot, Ashwin. Hey, everybody. Lovely to be here. Really is a pleasure. So I don't know if you know much about me or Psychedelics Today or Vital. I'm going to be, telling you a bit about me and why I love working for Psychedelics Today and why Vital has just changed my life in such a beautiful way, in many different ways. So I'll talk about that shortly. I just want to give a shout out to Birmingham because that's my hometown. I'm a Brummie lad, same as Ashwin, but yeah, I've been living in America 10 years now. I married an American woman and she, made me come over here. So never mind. I want to talk about, my path to psychedelics as a career choice, and a little bit about my own personal experience of psychedelics, kind of growing up in England, and having spiritually profound experiences in different parts of the world. So a good place to start is in Birmingham. So I grew up, using a lot of drugs and alcohol at a very young age and having quite a lot of trauma that I didn't know that word existed yet. And psychedelics, cannabis really helped. And they also really hurt me as well. So I started off with quite a complex, mildly toxic relationship with cannabis and alcohol as a teenager. And then, through my 20s, kind of moving out of that and really owning my depression, my OCD, and lots of other complex identity issues and questions. And psychedelics really helped me just privately to be real with myself and to ask difficult questions, and to feel more at ease with being who I am. And then professionally speaking, I went down a big, like, going to get married, get a job. So I went back to college, university in Leicester, became a social worker, and then moved to America and started working in hospitals, psychiatric clinics, became the director of an addiction clinic ultimately, and have a private practice now doing psychotherapy. And then about 3 years ago, something broke inside of me. I was a director of an outpatient addiction clinic, and I was sitting in my office with a patient, a client that, has decades of trauma, complex trauma, opioid and alcohol addiction, been in and out of rehab and detox. And there I am sitting with her in a 45-minute therapy session. And I'm like, oh, God. And I was getting more and more passionate about, I think I need to quit my job and work in psychedelics. And all the research was starting to come out from MAPS and other people. And something just broke inside of me and said, I just can't work with these clients and not be able to offer them psychedelic therapy, or at least even better harm reduction therapy. So I joined Psychedelics Today. Why? Why did I turn down much more high-paying jobs with great health benefits and paid time off and all that stuff? Why did I do that? Who knows? Any ideas? No. Because there are some things in life more important than money. That's why. Yeah, you get that. So yeah, I chose Psychedelics Today because of who we are. It's just obvious and really easy to feel into the team here, Joe and Kyle, what they've been doing for 6 years since they started their podcasts. And yeah, how they speak about really complex social, cultural issues, ethical issues around capitalism and environmental sustainability, kind of indigenous traditions, reciprocity, and all of those, complicated, deep intersections. We create a container and a space for having those discussions. So, I also did the Navigating Psychedelics course, which is a 9-week course that we do here. Did that and it changed my life. And literally the next day I quit my job. And then Vital. So moving into what is Vital. We've trained about 10,000 students now that have taken different courses with us. Some are free, some are just a couple of hours, some are like a 9-week course. And they kept coming back, and some of them were doing the same courses again and again. We're like, you did it last year, why are you doing it again? It's like, wow, it was just great. And, there's nothing else quite like it. So we realized, oh, wow, we kind of have a responsibility to create something bigger and better and more ambitious. So we created a 12-month course, and we called it Vital. Why Vital? So we'll get to that shortly. I think the first thing I'm going to just jump into, we've got a short video from Kyle. You might know Kyle if you listen to our podcast. Kyle Buller is one of the co-founders. He's the VP of Education and Training. He's also a counselor here in New Jersey, where I live. Beautiful man. He's on retreat right now in Colorado doing a breathwork cannabis retreat with our Vital students for 6 days. So this is Kyle talking about kind of the idea of what Vital is.
Hello, welcome to Vital. My name is Kyle Bowler. I'm one of the co-founders here at Psychedelics Today and also one of the directors at the Vital training program. So what is Vital? Vital is a 12-month psychedelic training program. It's really focused on harm reduction and integration. As we're seeing the mainstreaming of psychedelics in the United States and really across the world, more and more people are becoming interested in this field, and we're realizing that there needs to be a lot of education. At Vital, we really want to help to develop that psychedelic competency for you and help to develop some psychedelic literacy if this might be completely new to you. So if you're a therapist and you might see an influx of clients coming in asking, I heard this thing about psilocybin for depression and I'm really interested, and maybe not knowing how to address that. Well, in the Vital program, we really want to help you to develop that literacy to help them make more informed decisions. We have an in-person experiential component, and we offer this all throughout the world, and it may focus with some medicines and also breath work. So you kind of know what it's like to be in that state and hopefully understand maybe what some of your clients are going to. So if you're interested in taking the journey with us at Vital, you can learn more by signing up for our brochure below. You can reach out to us at vital@psychedelicstoday.com. We hope that you join us, and we're looking forward to taking this journey with you.
Cheers, Ashwin. So that's just a little taster. And Kyle was actually in Vermont when he recorded that. There was a lovely conference festival there, just with 150 people last year. We're going to talk about our retreats a bit more. I've got a slide deck. I love slides. They are my Jungian archetypal shield that makes me feel more competent and grounded when I have a slide deck by my side. It's a bit like a comfort blanket. So I've got slides. Hopefully they're going to be interesting and I'll talk through it and I'll really describe what has Vital been like. I'm not objective. I am immensely biased. So Vital is a beautiful experience, a wonderful creation that we kind of iterated here. And yeah, I feel personally like it's immensely powerful and important. So once we go through those slides, we'll also then just move into Q&A. I'll try and keep the slides for like 20 minutes. They're a bit technical, but they will have everything that you really need to kind of just get a feel like, is this for me? Is that what I want? Is that what I need? Is that what I'm ready for? And I'll talk about like how important it is to have an open mind around your expectations of life, and that openness through entering Vital gives you 12 months later a very profound, personal, inner directive sense of, who am I? Why am I doing this? What is it I want to do? And where do I want to do it? And who with? What do I not want to do? What am I ready for now? What's my next couple of steps to take? So that's really what Vital is going to do for you. So we'll have loads of questions, but hopefully the slides will answer tons, and we can just talk about whatever you fancy afterwards. The first thing I want to do actually before the slides, I've got another video that we just released last week that you may not have seen yet, and it was actually taken on retreat in Jamaica. So we had 2 psilocybin retreats in Jamaica with a really good provider there called Atman. So we had 2 groups of 20 students going to Jamaica using psilocybin, doing yoga, going for hikes to the waterfall, and guiding each other and taking turns receiving psilocybin. So the video that we've got was kind of shot there. So you'll see a bit of dancing and ceremony around the fire as well. So once we've played that video, I'll just dive into the slides. Sound cool? Thumbs up? Yay, lovely. All right. So I'm going to rely on my good friend Ashwin to tee up the video here.
I think something that gets me most excited about this work is some of the transformation that happens. And that's why I keep coming back to this idea of like transformative education.
Vital is education that has never existed before. What we are offering to students is 12 months of intensive process-oriented learning around psychedelics and altered states of consciousness.
It's creating a container for people to explore. I feel like a lot of this is about exploration, finding out who we are, finding out how we want to show up in the world. So many people, they feel like they want purpose and meaning in their life, and people that are drawn to these fields feel like it's a calling. And so that's what gets me excited, is gathering people together, building that community, and allowing people to go through a process so that they can find themselves.
The thing about a program like Vital that is so important is that we are on the brink of shifting the way that we care for each other.
Talking to a lot of people that are coming into psychedelics, wanting to work with breathwork, non-ordinary experiences, and helping people, I think one thing that a lot of people in life are looking for is some sort of meaning or purpose.
We really emphasize process-oriented learning. We really want you to ask questions and to engage in a dialogue. And with the asset of Zoom, we also have the opportunity for you to interact directly with some of the biggest names in the field.
It seemed very fitting. I didn't have to be licensed. It was continuing education. You can get those credits. And the sense of community was just so accepting. So not only am I getting an education, I'm also being accepted.
The people who are coming to Vital are clearly the visionaries who are saying, okay, we got to figure this out. And so I love that all of us are coming together and each of us are figuring out what our piece and part is within this bigger narrative.
The psychedelic landscape is emerging very rapidly. It's a growing field. How do we develop psychedelic competency and literacy within fields and communities so people are able to go out there and educate their community, their clients, and be a resource?
The study group process is also something that we really love and endorse because it enables the students to really get to know one group of students very intimately. And in that group process you also learn, but oftentimes some kind of deeper healing can happen. And it's a space where people go through this intimate process of transformation as a group.
So having a study group in which everybody was not only interested in psychedelics, but wanting to learn more about psychedelics, wanting to help other people through the use of psychedelics, wanting to facilitate, was absolutely very important and very beautiful.
Having this human experience again and relating to each other and finding the connectedness.
So what has been the most enjoyable part of this program for me so far is the community. I'm not gonna lie, I love my study group. The shared desire to be more ethical, to be at the forefront of a movement that's already happening and use it to help other people. That shared value, to me, is one of the biggest things that I've learned from the course.
I get really excited about trying to co-create an environment with people so that they can do their own self-exploration to find their life purpose. I think if we really want to make it here, we're going to need an approach that helps us cultivate more inner awareness, more compassion, more love for the world, more community, more working together.
And what I really love about working with Vital is that our team consists of really fantastic people. I would say that it's a group of dreamers who really put together something that is quite spectacular. And it's a grassroots effort, and we have managed to create a truly wonderful avenue for people through which to enter this field and this community with resources and support and tools to navigate their own experience and help others along the way.
We just don't want it to end here at Vital. Just trying to find like-minded people to come together to work on a certain cause, a certain passion, and it's exciting, you know, it's invigorating.
We are rebuilding the world that we want for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And this is an incredible time in history. So come to Vital and find your people.
When we made that video and released it like a week ago, quite a few people in the team cried. I think I had one tear perhaps. It may even have trickled down my cheek, but definitely, yeah, there were quite a few people in the team that were like, oh, wow, that's it. Yeah, that's why we did this. And so Vital has been really validating about the vision that we had here. And this video fed back to us as the team was like, we did what we said we would, or what we wanted to do, because it was, you know, pretty ambitious where we had set out. So with no further ado, I'm going to get these slides rolling. It's got lots of information there, everything you will probably need to know. But if you've got questions as we're going through the slides, pop it in the chat, and then I'm happy to answer probably after the slides finish. And if you want to just be unmuted, then we can, yeah, ask it that way. Just pop it in the chat if you want to do it that way. All right, hold tight. So yeah, I'll be about 20 minutes on this, and I'll make it as fun as I can, I promise. All right, so should be working. Can someone give me a thumbs up if you can see that? Okay, beautiful. Lovely jubbly. All right. So I've kind of told you already, like, what was the idea for Vital? The 5 elements play a big role in the course. So you'll see as we go through the slides, the 5 elements coming through again and again and again. And that, you know, touches on us being just a bit quirky and a bit more focused on, I suppose, you know, more nature, feminine aspects of knowledge and experiential kind of inner processing of, you know, wisdom and experience held in community over the cycle of a year, going through the seasons and through the elements. Joe and Kyle are, yeah, the founders of Psychedelics Today. So if you haven't heard of them, then yeah, check out our podcast. And I'm going to drop in the chat after the slides 4 links to 4 podcasts that you're welcome to check out. One is the podcast I did last year with Anya and Lauren from Psychedelic Society. So just great fun episodes, but particularly talking about dancing. And then 3 episodes that we've just done with Vital students in conversation with Vital teachers. So really cool. And we've got another 2 coming out over the next few weeks with Vital students. Okay. So here is what we expect you to go through after 12 months of being in Vital. It's learning. Yeah, it's learning. But learning is just a small part of this. So much more is experiencing. You're probably getting a feel for that now. Experiential learning is more inward focused. It's more heart focused. It's more being grounded and embedded in your body. And it's more kind of interpersonal and relational. That's experience, and with nature and in person. So we combine, you know, most of it is virtual, yep, but we have our retreat in person, and we have small study groups where students have amazing things happen. The growth we expect is particularly around self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-insight. We've described this as a personal and professional education journey, and it really is. So you learn technical stuff, you get new skills to use with clients, and you get a deeper sense of who you are and what your calling is specifically to work with people that use psychedelics. And then the serving piece is really key. The biggest question we get is, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a doctor, I don't have a master's degree in XYZ, can I still do Vital? And typically the answer is yeah, if your calling to do this work is evident, is powerful, is significant. So we've had students that haven't taken any psych classes in their lives. They're not a counselor. They might be doing, say, you know, more of an admin IT job, but they have personal experience with psychedelics and or meditation, breathwork, yoga, fasting, that kind of thing. And hopefully they also have some kind of a connection to the people in their community and the needs of their community. So it might be Psychedelic Society, it might be providing, you know, education, harm reduction, support to people, it might be maybe leading an integration group with other queer folks or BIPOC folks in your community. That's the kind of student that we really want to be in Vital, because then what we're doing is we're educating the world really quickly. We do it through our podcast, but we do it through Vital. Students from about 20 different countries that are getting a very multidisciplinary and internally oriented training experience. And then they're going to make amazing ripple effects happen in their community. So we've got a student in Nepal right now and Hong Kong that are going to take the next Vital cohort, and they're going to start talking to their governments and, you know, health administration providers about psychedelic medicine, because no one's doing it yet. So they want to get the conversation started. So we were like, yes, we'd love you to come to Vital. And we were able to give them significant scholarships as well, so they could do that. Diversity is really important. We'll speak about our scholarship fund at the end. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. We gave out $211,000 of scholarships last year for Vital. We'll do probably about the same this year. So we speak about diversity in the people around like race, ethnicity, and sexual identity, gender identity, stuff like that. And that's massively important to us here. There's also diversity of subject matter. And we find that a lot of the training that's out there is very theoretical, cognitive, kind of psychologically oriented. And there's a time and place for that. It's really important to have that grounding, especially if you're more clinically, medically oriented. But for a lot of people, that's not who they are, what they want to do. And there's a lot of people already doing psychedelic treatment, either harm reduction integration work or actual coaching, guiding, trip sitting work that don't have a master's degree. And so we want to give them the experience, the training, the skills, the competence, the knowledge, the community to provide services in a safe way. So we see it as harm reduction to go to the people that are a little bit more holistic, integrative, forward-thinking, open-minded, not just the cognitive, psychologically minded people, and say, yes, you really need a community. We really want to support your journey. And then there's also the diversity on the curriculum, the syllabus, the resources that we build into our course, and the diversity of speakers that we have. So we have folks that are underground coaches and retreat workers in Jamaica. We have, coaches and guides in Oregon and California doing cannabis-assisted therapy. We've got, people like Dick Schwartz and Bill Richards and Ben Sessa, people like Gita Vade, Devon Christie, folks that you probably all know, with people that you probably haven't ever met before and are quite out there in the work that they do, more transpersonal, more around energetic work, indigenous shamanic traditions, combined with, all the medical clinical stuff. So not many courses do that, to be honest. I'm going to let you read this, and these are the things that we reasonably expect that you will experience over 12 months. All right. So that's all true. Promise. The next two slides are chunky. So if you're on the toilet or in the fridge, have a look at this bit, because this will answer most of your questions. This gives you a really good sign of, cool, that's what it's like. I can imagine that. So there's two slides. I'll jump to the next one. So this one first is the overview of the touch points of student experience. These are all parts of a student's journey over 12 months. And I'm going to just briefly show you the next slide. These are the 5 modules that over the 12 months students will flow through. Each has an element attached to it: air, fire, water, earth, and ether. Okay, so we've got a 12-month curriculum going through 5 modules. And during those 12 months, each student will have these components of their journey to kind of, orient them. The main piece is, so during those 5 modules, every week is a lecture and a study group. So it works out to be about 40 lectures and 40 study groups. The lectures will always be Tuesday, 2:00 Eastern. So that is 7:00 GMT. And those 2 hours are spent with a guest lecturer speaking, usually for about an hour, sometimes with slides, or they'll show videos, case studies, and then normally about an hour of questions and answers with our students. Sometimes we do role plays, interactive exercises as well, but normally we save those for the study groups. So the lectures are always Tuesdays at 2:00 Eastern, 7 England or Britain. The study groups move in time. So this year we had 7 different study groups. And then you can just choose which time works for you. So I teach the Wednesday 9 a.m. study group, got 15 students there. There's also, Tuesday night study group, a Friday morning one, a Thursday lunchtime one. So we can have options for students in different countries, time zones, different jobs, childcare needs, can say, yeah, I'll do that one with Diego and Dominique, or this one with Johanna and David. So you can kind of choose your day and time, and hopefully choose the practitioners that you want to work with. These need to be attended live. These cannot be watched, recorded. The lectures can be. So if 7 o'clock Eastern doesn't work for you, that's okay. But you need to promise to watch the recordings that are uploaded within 24 hours. But the study groups, you've got to be there. Otherwise, you miss out on all the magic, because it happens, the magic in the study groups. You're in this little group of a community of maybe 15 people for a whole 12 months journey together, and it gets incredibly deep. And you're kind of accountable to each other. And yeah, there's a lot of sharing, a lot of breakout rooms where, we're going through activities, exercises, reflections, role plays. That's, pretty deep. So you need to be able to commit to those study group times that you can choose. We have 2 electives. I don't know if you use the word elective in England, I can't remember. But I had to relearn it when I came here. So it's basically, in the summer and the winter, you've got 4 mini courses that you can choose from and say, oh, I want to do that one. And then in the winter, 4 more courses that come up and you're like, oh, I'll choose that one. If you want to do more, you can do more. The others are available half price, but otherwise, if it's just that one elective, it's included. So some of the electives we had for this year, they were Jungian kind of depth psychology in the shadow was one. Neuropsychiatry and psychedelics was another. Microdosing, trip sitting, space holding, self-care, managing challenging experiences. We had another module, how to build a psychedelic career. Let's see what else we had. None of this pop into my head. Oh, we had one about psychedelics and psychiatry. So you'll just choose your elective and then bang, off you go. And then come back for the next module at the end of that little summer or winter break. Each student is expected to attend a retreat. We had 6 this year. And honestly, I didn't go on any, but the students have all said, and the team and instructors have all come back saying, wow, that was amazing. Like, that was just kind of sacred space that we all entered into there, the students and the instructors and the retreat providing team that we use. So it seems like these retreats are really tapping into something pretty powerful. And you'll hear, students talking about it was the sitting for another student that was the most profound, not necessarily their own journey, but more students actually said, no, it's when I sat for so-and-so, like that just taught me so much. Like, I've never done that before. And yeah, so we had 6 retreats. 2 were in Jamaica using psilocybin. 2 were in Colorado using breathwork and cannabis with Daniel McQueen. If you know Daniel, medicinal mindfulness. And then 1 was in Amsterdam using psilocybin truffles. And 1 was in Costa Rica using breathwork only with some CrossFit thrown in as well. And we will probably have the same retreats this time around. We'll likely have a bigger one just doing breathwork in America, probably have 1 in Amsterdam again as well, maybe even 1 in England. And I'm also looking to do a breathwork retreat in Israel as well early in the next year. So stay tuned for that. The peer supervision group is an optional group that we, from the very beginning, invite students to form. So we've got an online community platform on Circle, which I'm pretty sure Psychedelic Society is just opening up. And so we're at the similar stages of making a community on Circle where you can form your own subgroups and little pods and interest groups to geek out on. Say, we've got one bunch of students, about 5 or 6 of them, that are really interested in psychedelics for people that are death or dying. So that community platform, you get free membership there for 2 years, maybe even for longer or for life. We kind of just leaving it open for now, but we're saying definitely 2 years. Webinars are every month, and you're expected to attend half. So normally they're Mondays at 12 o'clock Eastern, so that's 5 o'clock GMT. And they're on more nuanced, niche aspects of psychedelic studies. So we go into indigenous traditions a little bit more there. We've got one on harm reduction in next week with Andrew Tatarski and Juliana Mulligan, if you know them, from Center for Optimal Living. So they're giving a webinar next week for Vital. You get free access to those all year round, probably 2 a month, but definitely 1 a month. And then there's 2 things in the bottom right. The final integration project it's about to happen in a couple of weeks, actually, with our students now. They present a project to their little home group of, this is what the last 12 months have meant to me. This is what I've learned, how I've changed. These are my new questions. And it might be, it's a slide deck they present. It might be a business plan. It could be a painting or a song that they have written and they perform, or they make a video. So it's something that integrates what you've experienced into this next stage of your journey. And then we also have an independent experiential project where students will submit an application for this kind of a experience to do by themselves with friends, family, retreat center, therapist, shaman, whatever it might be. And then we'll say, yep, that meets the requirements, go well. And here is how you can produce your process paper afterwards. So we've got people going to the Amazon to do ayahuasca or do a Vipassana retreat, or have a series of ketamine treatments at an awakened clinic. That kind of thing would be an independent experiential project. And wherever we can, we're just adding opportunities to go deep and personalize this, not to keep it too theoretical, but to really personalize it. So here are our 5 elements, our 5 modules. So each of these modules has its own syllabus, curriculum, and slightly different feel to it. And when you combine these 5 things together, the 5 elements, what do you get? Kind of reality, because that's what we're made of. And the ether piece is really important. So we do take a transpersonal approach to this work. Jungian depth psychology is kind of threaded throughout the course and in a lot of the instructors here as well. I'm learning a lot about Jungian depth psychology. I'm loving it, and I'm using it a bit with my clients as well already. So these are the 5 modules. And then we have 2 breaks for electives as well, and for retreats. So you can choose 1 retreat, maybe 2 if we got space, and you'll do those retreats either in the winter break or in the summer break. And then you'll do an elective in both of those 2 breaks. So you can see why, if someone is doing our course and they're only interested in the science, they'll have a good time, but we're going, far beyond just the science and the research. So we definitely include a lot more indigenous traditions. So this year we're going to actually have, if you know Bia Labate from Chikuna, she's teaching a class in Vital. Joe Tafor, who wrote the book Fellowship of the River, and then Luis Eduardo Luna, if you know him and his work. So there's just 3 people that are teaching in Vital, and then we had some other webinars in Vital as well around indigenous subjects. So we really thread that into this experience of life that understands the body in a slightly different way, the brain in a slightly different way, reality, and what we consider to be normal. We deconstruct all of these things and then reconstruct them in a more integrative, holistic, open-minded way. All right, and these are the things to graduate a student needs to do. If they would like CEs, continuing education, then those are available at just an extra cost for the processing of that with the accreditation board that we go through. Those are the 5 elements. And at the end of the course, you'll get a certificate that's going to look really beautiful, that you're going to frame and feel really proud of. We'll have a graduation ceremony of some sort, virtual and in person. And what can I do with this? Well, what do you want to do with it? And something that I've been telling to students are, when I interview them for Vital, I say, hey, disclaimer, whatever you legally can do now and cannot do now is going to stay the same after you complete Vital. And that's really key. So what I mean by that is, wherever you live in the world, whatever the laws are there around trip sitting, holding space, or advertising yourself as a psychedelic practitioner, those laws aren't going to change by completing Vital, because there is no national or international oversight board for psychedelic assisted therapy. They're still Schedule 1 drugs in America and in England, apart from ketamine. So the reason to do this course isn't because it's going to change the laws of where you live, but it will give you the competence, the confidence, the scope of practice, and the internal kind of awareness and groundedness to say, this is the way that I want to move forwards. And for some people, that might mean I'm going to continue doing underground work. I'm going to continue offering, retreats using Cambo or psilocybin. Or you know what, actually, now I've done that course, I'm not sure I'm quite ready to do that trip sitting work yet. I don't know if I want to hold space for people yet, or I'm ready to. But what I am ready for, running integration groups or doing some of that more preparation and assessment and harm reduction work with someone that intends to use psychedelics. Other people go to retreat centers in Jamaica and Amsterdam and are working there, maybe 1 week a month. So that's definitely an option. And then ketamine clinics as well. So in America, there's about 1,500 ketamine clinics, maybe 2,000 now. So this is becoming a massive precursor to MDMA clinics and psilocybin clinics. So ketamine clinics are sprouting up here because they want to move into MDMA and psilocybin as soon as they can. In England, you've got Awaken and others. So Awaken just opened their 5th clinic, they announced today, I think it was. It's going to be in Portugal. So 2 in London and Bristol, 2 in Norway, and 1 in Portugal. So imagine in a couple of years, they're predicting to have, a couple of dozen clinics in England. I think Birmingham, Manchester are next, then Brighton. If you've completed this Vital course and you want to go work for Awaken in one of their ketamine clinics, to hold space for someone using ketamine or doing the assessment, preparation, integration work, then this course is golden for that. Whatever it is that you're thinking of doing now, you can use Vital to help guide you there. Or if you're not quite sure where you want to go with it, it's also a really good course just for getting that clarification about it, about where to go next, what is available. And also just for clarifying, what's my risk profile? How much risk am I willing to tolerate? What am I really expert in? And then go forth with that. So I'm now going to just go through the 3 different kinds of people that we have kind of working with us here at Vital. So the 3 of us lovelies are all Psychedelics Today staff. So Kyle, myself, and Johanna, we're the 3 main architects that built, designed, created, managed Vital. So bravo to the 3 of us, because honestly, all 3 of us would say that it was the most amazing thing that we've been part of. So whenever you have a question or a problem, an email or a phone call, then it's going to be the 3 of us. Pretty much, we've got a few other team members that help with admin. So we're the 3 people mainly that have built Vital, that will answer any questions that you've got. And I'm taking the lead with interviewing students. So once they apply and get provisionally approved, then I'll set up an interview to get to know you a bit better and to make sure Vital is a good fit. The next bunch of teachers, so we've got Mike, Melanie, and Angie. We've got, a good 10 to 12 study group instructors. So these are the people that you'll be with for a whole year, every week, for 40 weeks over those 5 modules. We've got amazing instructors. And we're going to have this year, actually, a new feature. If you want to just have a general group with anyone joining you as a student, there's going to be mostly those groups that are just open to everybody. We are also going to have one group that is open just to coaches, or preferably for people that want to or intending to work in a coaching kind of role, life coach, executive coach, health coach, whatever it might be. And then another group that is going to be primarily clinical, psychotherapy focused counseling. And then the other groups, 4 or 5, however many we end up with, will be general. And I think, honestly, I would say I would rather do the general groups, because that's what I've been part of in my group that I facilitated. And we've got just such diversity there that we would never normally meet before. Like, I know loads of social workers, psychologists, and psychiatrists. Great. But through Vital, I've got to meet tarot card readers and Reiki practitioners, herbalists, naturopaths, death doulas, firefighters, and army veterans, priests and rabbis that are literally all doing Vital. Why? Because it's resonating powerfully within them. And they're all completely different, with totally different intentions for what they want to do with this work and what their calling is. So imagine being a group of 15 people for a year together. So, and big shout out for diversity there. These are instructors. So this is just 3 of about 35 people that will come either once or twice to teach about their expertise. So I'm not sure if you know Manesh Gurn. He was actually just on our podcast a week ago, neuroscientist at McGill in Toronto, that's actually moving to San Francisco to kind of be the right-hand man for Robin Carhart Harris. They're going to be working in the same lab together there. So he talks about neuroscience, and he's actually, he leads the elective in Vital about neuroscience, if you want to do that. Devon Christie, I'm not sure if you know her from Numinous. She also has a private practice. She is really about, integrative wellness, focuses on, things like body work, yoga, nutrition, spirituality, and indigenous traditions a little bit as well. Kylia Taylor, you might know from Inner Ethics and The Ethics of Caring, the book she wrote. So she teaches about ethics once or twice with us. Oh, and she was just in a podcast, I'll drop the link at the end, with another Vital student talking about, ethics. And we also license Kylia's videos. So you get those for free. Otherwise you'd be paying a couple £100 for each one. So we're going to license 2 or 3 of her videos that you'll get as part of the syllabus around ethics and working with people that use psychedelics, and how do ethical scenarios, problems, conflicts arise. So other people we've got, gosh, there's loads. If you've seen the brochure, you'll see it, but it's just amazing, diverse groups of people. All right, so those are our teachers, and you get Q&A with them all as well. So they'll present, and then you get an hour asking questions. This is a real psychedelic psychiatrist about to graduate from Vital. So he's from New Jersey. I'll let you read it. But yeah, it has his love Vital, and it's really changed his life, to be honest.
Sorry, just to say, folks, if some of you guys can't read that quickly, we are, of course, sending around a recording of this, so you can pause in your own time.
Thanks, Ashwin. All right, so that's Taz. And then we've got a real quick video. This is the last video, I promise, of, I think, 4 or 5 students on this year's Vital talking about what it's been like.
I wanted to train in psychedelic facilitation because of my background in counseling psychology. And it seems as though the overall field of psychology is venturing into this integration of psychedelics for treatment. So as a Black female psychologist, I wanted to make sure that I was involved in that process.
Vital's program is intelligent, practical, and forward-thinking. The faculty is second to none, and the teaching is very robust. But the tone is colourful, approachable, and open-minded too.
The program's content is so rich. I'm learning new concepts and new topics that I've never been exposed to before. And the most important learning I'm getting is from the diverse student body. Each one is bringing their expertise and their different background, and this is adding a lot to my learning journey.
Preparing for a career in psychedelics feels innovative, it feels very inspiring, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this process because the conversations that we have feel like we're on the leading edge of creating something that could be very beneficial.
Initially, the best thing about training for a career in psychedelics was getting into the subject matter, but pretty soon it became about the people I'm learning alongside.
I have seen some misconductive behavior in this field, and I believe this is very serious work. At the end of the day, we are dealing, with human consciousness or the mental health of other people. So for me, a training as a practitioner is vital in terms of ethics and safety for others.
So that is a little bit about Vital. And at the end, Jessica Lagarde, and I'll drop in the chat her podcast she did with us as well. She actually works in the retreat center in Amsterdam, where we had our Vital retreat. So she's both a student and she works with that team over there. So she has some great experience. Okay, nearly done with the slides. I think there's just a couple left. I'll skip this one because, the dates are in other slides. Tuition. So this bit's really important. So tuition's $12,000. I think the exchange rate is about £1 to $1.21. After a student's been approved and offered a place in Vital, you can pay with a lump sum, save some money, $500, or you can use a payment plan and then save $300. And the plans are 3, 6, 12 months. Here's the really important kind of asterisk. Taxes are not included. And for English folks, the VAT, I think, is 17.5%, or it was when I was over there. Has it gone up or is it still the same? Feel free to teach me if you know.
It's pretty much, it's still 17.5.
Yeah. So it's likely that there'll be their VAT on top of tuition. And that retreats are also not included. And they vary in price between $2,000 and $3,000, depending on what kind of accommodation you want. We had some people sleeping in a tent in Jamaica, and that was great. Whereas some people said, no, I want an ensuite private room, please. And so they did. So we catered for different choices there. Next two slides, important for dates and numbers. So right now we have our early bird window. So if you apply, interview, and then get approved and pay the first tuition installment, then you can get $500 off if you pay in full by March 3rd, or $300 off if you set up a payment plan and make your first payment by March 3rd. After March 3rd, we're still accepting applications till March 19th. But those early bird discounts aren't going to be there. And to join Vital, it starts April 17th. You need your payment to start by March 30th. And there's discounts for our conversions conference in LA as well. Okay. We do still have some scholarships available. We've given out a lot already, but we still have some funds left in our diversity fund for folks that are doing this work and perhaps are already working in their community and will have high impact from doing Vital on their community. Perhaps they have financial need and or BIPOC, queer, military veterans, first responders. Maybe they're, have a disability. They're working marginalized rural communities, underserved communities, for example. That all helps to make the case for getting a more significant award. At some point, the diversity fund will run out of funds, so we'll close off the scholarship. So if you really need a scholarship to make it work, that's totally fine, but just get your application in ASAP. And here is what you need to do to make the application happen. It's a $75 fee. You complete the application form. You attach a personal statement. If you want to apply for a scholarship, you just click, yep, scholarship, and then a drop-down menu of other questions should appear. Once you've submitted that, we'll normally get back to you within a couple of days with next steps. You'll interview with me if we're offering you an interview, and then we'll chat, usually within a week, and then figure out, okay, let's make this happen, or maybe next year, or let's talk about it a little bit more. And then once you have made your first tuition payment, you are in. You've confirmed you're part of Vital, and it's going to happen. Thanks for letting me go through all those questions. All right, all those slides, I mean. So good to, go to questions. John Timmins, hello there. So you asked, can you repeat the additional costs, study groups, retreats? Yeah, so the tuition includes all lectures, study groups, electives, webinars, process papers, all the groups that are happening, and the online community. The things that are extra are, retreats. And there'll be different prices based on where in the world you are, where, and kind of what accommodation you want. In some instances where we've got a student that says, you know what, David, I can't afford to do tuition and retreats, we're saying, okay, we would rather that you did Vital and did a different retreat that wasn't ours, but with somebody else, or another kind of experience. It might be meditation course or ketamine treatment or ayahuasca ceremony. That would be okay as well, just to save a bit of money if that is the kind of sticky point. And then there's just taxes and transaction fees for PayPal. Is an application fee due if applying for a scholarship? So the $75 fee is still kind of included there. You do need to still pay that, but I will drop in a if there's any extenuating circumstances that make that $75 fee challenging, then you can let us know. So it's Vital at Psychedelics. I put Psychedelic Society instead of Psychedelics Today. I think I'm working with you, Ashwin. Silly me. psychedelicstoday.com. All right, that is the right one. But at the same time, I wanted to say to folks, if you're like, I have no money, I can't pay the application fee, I can't pay any tuition, I need 100% award, that is probably not going to be viable on our end, unfortunately. So we only have a couple of 100% scholarships that we've given out, one already, and we've got another 5 people I think already kind of shortlisted. So just letting you know about that piece. Yeah, so about those electives. So that's a mini course. They'll be available in the winter and the summer. And one of those is included as part of the Vital experience. So you can choose one elective on neuroscience, and that's included. But if you wanted the elective in the same summer break as, say, microdosing, then you would just pay half price for that. I think it's probably $200 for that mini course. And ultimately any other trainings that you want to do with Psychedelics Today during Vital, after Vital, you'll get big discounts on because you're a Vital alumni. So students that have completed our 9-week Navigating Psychedelics course that I took a few years ago, changed my life, they'll get $750 off. So if any of you have done that course here, either the live version or the recorded version, make sure you put that in your application because you'll save, between $500 and $750.
So we've got a live question from the audience. Emily, can I bring you up? Is that a yes? Can I bring you up? Let's have a look. There we go. Let's add you there. Let me just put a few. There you go. Ask away.
Cool. I've got 2 questions. My first one is I actually went to Ben Sessa's talk. He did a talk the other week in my town in Bristol. I live in Bristol, and I asked him about working in these clinics because he was talking about the need for psychedelic trained therapists to work in them, and it seemed to say you need to have some kind of clinical training or be a trained psychotherapist or nurse or have that background. Would this course qualify you to work in an awakened clinic, for example?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the honest answer is I don't know if you'll be able to fulfill certain kinds of roles in an awakened clinic. I know in America, yes, it would in a ketamine clinic here. So that there's we talk about scope of practice a lot, like what's in your license, what's in your training. So scope of practice for someone to prescribe ketamine, so we don't teach that in Vital. Scope of practice to administer ketamine as a intramuscular injection or intravenous. So no, we don't teach that, and that's kind of pre-existing scope of practice. But in America, if you say wanted to do more the preparation, the assessment work, and the integration work afterwards, and the actual sitting work during the ketamine session, you can do that in America without clinical licenses, because it's not being billed through insurance. So it's really different in different countries. Maybe with Awaken, I know they've got this IP around, what's it called, their CARE protocol, KARE. So it's likely that for their clinics, they'll license that training out, similar to how MAPS will license out their MDMA training. So they can get 50,000 folks in to provide MDMA. So likely those trainings, like the MDMA one, the Awaken one, will be kind of bolt-on trainings to courses like ours, or other folks that have a 12-month course. So I don't know if that answers your question sufficiently, but how we're envisioning the rollout of the psychedelics industry is very different in different countries, but that these courses that have 12 months of really intensive, very deliberately constructed curriculum, amazing teaching teams, will get recognition when there are national, international organizations kind of accrediting training programs that we will be approved by them. And that as we start to have more partnerships developing with, say, ketamine clinics, chains that open up, they'll say, oh yeah, anyone that's completed Vital, you can skip stages 1 and 2 of our training. You just need to do 3 and 4. So that's what we're seeing already happening in America. So if you've completed this kind of course, then you're automatically accepted into certain kinds of roles, and you can skip certain kind of preliminary stages. For example, there's a company here called Journey Clinical, that if you've completed Vital, you can kind of move ahead further.
Okay, cool.
Is that all right, Amy? So you had another question as well.
I didn't expect it to train you for the kind of administration or prescription, of course, but and it kind of leads me on to my next question, which is that it's a lot. Well, I think it's a lot of money for me anyway, personally.
Yeah.
And so my question is kind of the return on investment on a course like this. What are career prospects? And obviously that's a really grey area, because it's a grey area, but in terms of kind of employment, and as much as you can answer, what's the return on investment for a course like this?
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah, it's a really good question. You got it. And it's a kind of related answer to what I was just talking about. That obviously it's just so different depending on where you live in the world, and how we're conceptualizing the evolution of the psychedelic worlds, in plural, is that there's going to be some really different opportunities available for people based on how they want to interact with people. So it's really clarifying the intersection that you want to position yourself at. So obviously we talked about, like, if you want to administer IV and IM ketamine, that's really specific. For a lot of students that come to Vital, they want to have confidence, competence to either to change jobs, to say, yeah, now I'm ready. Like, I know I want to do this. And that is quite hard to find, that confidence and that sense of, like, I'm ready for this. And then 2, just clarifying what kind of role is right for me. And that is a really high ROI, like a return on investment. just to get that inner knowledge, that sense of direction, that trajectory of where to go next. And we've designed the course to really be very intuitive and touch on those personal opportunities to reflect. So we've got different process papers and study group exercises that help someone gain that knowledge. One other tangible piece I'd say is I've just dropped in there 4 podcasts that we recorded. So one's with Anya and Lauren from Psychedelic Society. The other 3 are all with Vital students. So something that we do with our students is we platform them, at conferences, on our webinars, our podcasts. We make introductions. We help to support their ideas moving forward. So that's something that we've always done, and that we love doing. And so we often get great opportunities come our way that we pass on to Vital students. So that's another tangible thing. Let's have a quick think about it, Emily, because I really like the question. And it is, it's hard to say what it'll be like in a year or 2 years in every country. Over here, we've got 2 organizations that, are 3 organizations that are within a year or 2 going to be accrediting organizations like us. So one's called APPA, the other is the Board of Medicine, and the other one I can't remember the name of, but it's Scott Shannon that runs that. So right now we're in conversation with all 3 of them around Vital. And, once they're up, they're not ready yet, but in a year, hopefully they will be, to say, where can our students get recognition for this course? So it might be even in universities, having those credits recognized as modules. So there's some conversations with universities around using Vital as a content provider or as a experiential training provider on our retreats, and using the Vital modules as content that could be integrated into medical programs and other adult education programs. So lots of conversations. Some of that will hopefully result in those kinds of partnerships and recognition. Potentially it could be grandfathered in to different organizations around the world, different kind of licensing boards. But yeah, definitely can't promise any of that would happen or when, because this just literally just hasn't happened yet. So this is for students that maybe don't want to go back to university and get a clinical license, but they do know, I want to learn, keep learning, I want to go deep, I'm ready for something very intensive, and from that point I want to build a career or move my career in this direction. So Vital is the right course for them, I'd say. I guess also in the winter elective as well, we've got a course around how to build a psychedelic career. So that's a course where we've got 5 or 6 different teachers and then a coach coaching you through what's your big plan, like what is the vision. So for students that really want more interactive coaching guidance process around my big idea or my big question, so that elective probably in the winter would be good for that one. And then those are the 2 tracks, so the coaching track in the study group and the therapist clinician track in the study group. Those would also be really beneficial for not only networking but really learning from other people's real world experiences rather than just theoretical stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, cheers, Emily. I wish it was like bang, this is like this badge, this stamp, but it just doesn't exist yet. Okay, any other questions?
Sorry, David, just to interject on that, on that last thing, the continuing education credits that the course provides, I was just having a look while you were talking, and there are a number of institutions that I can see that take those continuing education credits as equivalencies towards education, towards actual measurement, towards getting onto another course, whether it's an MA, master's level, or beyond. I was just looking at Oxford University's international transference credit transference. So there is the possibility there. One other thing that I would have, from what I got from you, was the notion of community. I myself went to university for acting, drama. My my course fees were, around about 9,000. I think 9,000 to 10,000. And what I got from that was more from the community, and especially with this specific line of education and this specific community development. I feel that this is extreme. I feel that it's something that you can't put a price on, and I don't want to sound biased in that way, but with something such as this, with the access to the tutors, to the currently existing practitioners, I feel that this is something that it's definitely an investment. There was some mention earlier about whether this would be whether this is a tax deductible investment, and if you are self-employed, I do believe that definitely be the case. It's definitely arguable in the UK at least that this is a career development investment that you would be able to claim some tax back at least.
Yeah, awesome points, Ashwin. Thank you. Yeah, so those CEs, are accredited. And yeah, community is really important. So we've had a few students take our course that have already either started a new business or they've actually teamed up together. So we've got a couple of students that work around death, dying, and psychedelics. So they've, developed a new training course and they're offering retreats in Jamaica. Yeah, we've got another company that's amazing that we're going to do a podcast with in a few weeks. So I won't name it now. And the CEO is a Vital student. And so they now have partnered up with another Vital student to kind of join their company. So we've had some really amazing cross-pollination happen in the course as well. Yeah. So any other questions? Let's see. The retreats are not covered by the scholarship fund, no. That's why we say sometimes to students, look, if we can get approval for a scholarship so that you can attend the course and make the course happen, great. Then save your money for the rest of the tuition that you can pay, plus our award, and then go do a retreat somewhere else, not with us, so you can save a couple of grand. We really love students to come with us. It seems to be one of the most important parts of the whole 12 months. But if it's a question of like, oh, I can't come, then do come, but do your own retreat so that you can make it happen.
And just on that note, to give folks a bit of an idea of other retreat kind of costs. The average, we have two partner retreats, two partner organisations that we do retreats with, and their average cost per retreat is around about between 1,500 euros to 2,000 euros. That's before any kind of bursary scheme. So putting those together, you have 6 retreats. That kind of it kind of levels out, I feel, in that on that front.
Yeah, and with our retreats as well. Sorry, Ashwin. Just we're going to say we don't make money on the retreats. We contract with training providers on retreat, and then so they handle all the administration and payments, and we don't kind of make money on that. It's just for student experiences.
Katie Lewis, would you like to come up for your question?
Yeah, hi. So I don't have any clinical experience. I work as you call it as an executive coach, and I also have an autoimmune disease. So I've been using DMT and ayahuasca and lots of other different things to try and kind of remove the trauma from my body, which I then believe is, helping with my health. I'm not sure if that is working at the minute, but that's kind of the area that I really want to go into. And my question is, with this course, because I'm the same as Emily, for me, this is going to be a huge investment. I'm not even sure if I can, if it's something I can afford, but My question is, if I was to do this year's course, would that give me enough information and credibility to be able to start up something on my own, having no clinical experience? And literally my only experience of psychedelics has been, well, 15 years ago when I was a kid, and then, the last couple of years working on myself. Do you think that's going to give me enough to start up a credible business or idea on my own? You're on mute.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'd say is, if you're already doing coaching work, Katie.
Yeah, but I'm doing business coaching, executive coaching, so not in this area.
Yeah, so we've definitely got a bunch of other coaches. We've had a lot of coaches apply, even more this year round, that aren't using psychedelics in their kind of work with clients, but they have personal experience in it, and they realize that they want to start offering support to their clients. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do the trip sitting guiding work. So that could be someone else that you don't even know about or have any contact with, but you're doing the preparation integration piece. And there's actually a lot of companies starting out now looking at this coaching model, because it's not clinical, it's not medical, it's more affordable for patients, clients, and it's actually really appropriate for building the preparation, medicine, integration stages around that coaching journey as well. So there's some companies doing it legally, with you go to Amsterdam or Jamaica to do the retreat part, and then you come back to London, Birmingham, New York, whatever, and you do carry on with the coaching. So if you're doing it already, then I think it should be fairly easy to kind of mini pivot into offering these services. It just depends whether or not you want to do the space holding, trip sitting kind of medicine ceremonial role, or more to say offer services around harm reduction and integration coaching.
It's more the latter, because when I've done it, I've not had any help, or I've been to I've been to retreats or a few places in Brighton that I've done it, and you just kind of left. That's it. You do your DMT, you see you later, away you go. And it's the integration, I think, and the preparation that's important, especially if you're trying to get rid of that trauma.
Yeah, and I think similar to Emily's question, like the tangible ROI, the piece that's really, really valuable is learning, like, what do I want to do? What do I not want to do? Because there's so many different things, like we're kind of too many options, really, especially with the legal gray area. So it's really understanding, like, what is my one calling that I want to do, and what people do I want to do it for, clients or with community networks. And coaching we're going to just see massive utilization of the coaching community, because there just is no bandwidth. Even if we wanted to do it just clinically, medically speaking, there's just no bandwidth availability there, even with telehealth. So I think we're going to see, coaches play a really significant role, especially here in America, in places like Oregon and Colorado, California, as they're opening up to state-specific legislation. It's coaches that are going to be playing most of the roles there. Coaches, guides, whatever you want to call it, different names for it. So it's not going to need to be clinically licensed and credentialed.
And you would say that the information you get from this course would give you all of the background and credibility you'd need to do that, alongside a coaching qualification.
Yeah. And if you have a look at the brochure again, just to look at those 5 modules, they really are comprehensive, in what they go through. And we design them with the intention that when it gets staged for a national or international organization to review our curriculum, who's on our teaching team, what the learning objectives are for each class, they'll go, oh, wow, that's immensely comprehensive, evidence-based, and expands scopes of practice and competence. So we recognize that, authorize that, whatever it might be. So we have built it in that way. So even though right now those national, international organizations don't exist, you still get that experience from going through the 12 months, because we designed it in that way so that it kind of would hopefully get that approval from those organizations once they do exist.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Yeah.
Sorry, Katie, just a quick one. Are you aware of our integration circles and our upcoming integration group therapy at the Society? You just mentioned that you were...
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
No, I only I heard about this course a while ago, and it's only the last few weeks that I've been really thinking this might be something that I want to do. So yeah, I'm kind of a recent into this.
Yeah, no, it's just you just mentioned your experiences down in Brighton that you didn't have. Just to let folks know that we do have integration circles and an upcoming integration group therapy session, which is the first of its kind in the UK for anyone who is looking to integrate psychedelic experiences. So check that out on Dandelion.
I'm actually just going to drop in the chat here. Do you remember that English guy I said, Steve Beale? He's a journalist, and he's now pivoting his career into psychedelic journalism.
Oh yeah.
So this is like just a really good experience of, we had a Vital student come with an intention, and he's now realized that intention. Like, yeah, I want to be a psychedelic journalist, and I'm going to be it. And so he's just been amazing, like at networking with other students, kind of coming to conferences and kind of meeting our team there and taking up other opportunities that have come his way. And then he developed this website, newpsychonaut.com. So he's got, lots of articles he's written, but he also makes it to be a Vital student zine, talking about what's it really like to be on Vital, what's it like to go on to Jamaica for these cannabis psilocybin retreats. Take care, Anthony. Yeah, so definitely check that out. That's the scoop on what was Vital like for this chap. John, you ask about, is something up in London, or is it in the north of England? Not sure what that is. Because
I think that's in reference to what I just mentioned. Well, I'm just replying to him there.
Yeah, got it. There was a question, John. Any retreats in Europe using ayahuasca? So not yet. So far, the only Europe one was, Amsterdam and psilocybin. We've thought about ayahuasca. I don't know if we're going to offer it, to be honest. Just a little bit more medically complicated and more challenges around holding space. But I think at some point we will do that. But it might be more kind of for year 2 of Vital, like a second year program for students. That's just where it's looking right now. But we will be offering more retreats. So we're finding from doing Vital that students love retreats. They're incredibly powerful, and there's just huge demand for them. So we're going to be doing more retreats around the world in Vital and outside of Vital. So it's going to be possible for Vital students to do non-Vital retreats with us as well. So that can happen. Yes, I think those are all the questions there. Any other questions? And if you want to unmute, then just, you have permission to ask a question. And this is a sales pitch. I want as many people to do Vital as possible. It's brilliant. It's an amazing experience, and we're building it for whoever wants it. But any other questions just about what it's like working in the psychedelics field, what I love or hate about it, and what's been difficult?
Well, I've got a couple of questions that I can fill the time until somebody else adds. There's a lot of talk about community, and I'm just wondering, like, when I was at university, when I've done any further education, always in the group situation, is there any kind of, there's obviously going to be, in these emotionally elevated states and times, the notion of conflict may arise. Can you speak a little bit to conflict resolution in class, or any kind of thoughts towards conflict resolution that arise?
Oh, that's interesting. Good question, Ashwin. When we designed Vital, we made sure that issues around cultural competence was covered in the course, as material to learn, but also as experiential processes for students to go through. So we had 2 workshops for students to go through how to apply psychedelics, in a sense, to the real world. And we did that through talking about race and accessibility. and what to do when we come up against people that we have different opinions with, that there's different ideologies and belief systems that we will inevitably have to navigate and dance with. So we had these 2 workshops with students covering those subjects, and all of our teaching team have been trained as well in cultural competence and kind of managing these kinds of ruptures and challenges that come up and using them as teaching opportunities. So yeah, we've had differences in opinions. We've had students say, I that really hurt my feelings, or that wasn't appropriate. And so as much as possible, we use a model that has students kind of stepping in to support each other and to express themselves where they feel able to about, this is the impact of what you just said, or I have a different opinion or belief, or because of my experiences with this, what you just said doesn't feel right to me. So yeah, wherever students able to do that themselves, we'll support them to do that. It's a little bit like working in addiction treatment and how kind of groups run, kind of as hands-off possible as needed. But yeah, we've had practitioners a few times kind of step in and just to have some tact and sensitivity around like how to navigate any challenging situations. But we haven't had that many, just a couple. Like we had one in our group, and it was actually an amazing learning experience because one of our students was reacting and kind of counter transference to something another student was saying, because it really related to his relationship with his dad. And so he just got quite pissed off about something and said something that was like, oh, like, can we just stop talking about this, please? And so we like processed that as a group. And yeah, what was coming up is, it's just too much for me right now. I'm just going through quite a lot of stuff with my dad. And so we kind of held space for that to be spoken of. And that just, yeah, I guess Ashwin emphasizes it's not just a theoretical course. It is about really understanding self and using self to navigate this work, rather than to negate self and just focus on all this stuff I have to absorb like a sponge. We are the kind of the central thing that we're learning about here. So we are kind of what we're here to learn about, and our own internal experiences and shadow and needs and visions.
Awesome. I mean, everything that you've said about this course, it's beautiful, and it's everything that I've actually wanted to hear from a training program. One of the last, I think, if no one else has got any questions, I've got one more question. So in the last 5-6 years since I've been involved in this scene, there's been so much change, so much development in the psychedelic scene. We started doing a film with Anya, the Psychedelic Renaissance, and everything that we started filming 4 or 5 years ago is kind of sort of out of date already in such a short amount of time. And I wanted to ask you, like, where do you see the field evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? And I think you've kind of sort of answered this already, but how is Vital looking to future-proof, your students for that change?
Yeah, I do like to think about what the future is going to look like in 5 years. We've had over here predictions that in America, there needs to be between 50 and 100,000 trained practitioners that can competently work with psychedelics in a legal medical model, just legal medical. What we're also seeing in America is states going their own direction and not waiting for federal rescheduling or for compass pathways and maps to get FDA approved. They're saying, no, we want to have a more accessible model, a less medicalized model, and we want to have less kind of corporate ownership of how people use psychedelics. So, Oregon and Colorado are going to be completely, non-medicalized, non-corporatized, statewide infrastructures for accessing legal psychedelic therapy, starting with psilocybin, and then in Colorado, it's going to move a few years later into things like, ibogaine, DMT. So that's regardless of what happens with Awaken and Compass Pathways and MAPS and, the UK government and the FDA. So we're going to see more and more of this here in America. In England, God knows, God knows what the government's going to do. But for example, you can see with Awaken's ketamine research, their phase 3 trial is actually 66% of it is being funded by the British government, Project Kestrel. So they are saying this is breakthrough treatment for an area of high need, addiction use disorder. We'll pay a couple £1 million so that you can get to market faster, like to shave basically a year off when you're going to go to market. So I think we're going to see a lot more governments investing in psychedelic research for sure. In Europe, that's happening big time. America now has 2 trials, I think, with government funding. So how to future-proof Vital? So like I said, I guess we've designed it in a way that licensing accreditation bodies should approve it for accreditation, for approval equivalent to their whether it's a university or a clinical treatment program, that they'll say, yeah, that meets certain requirements. It doesn't exist yet, but that's the plan, that we've built it in a way so it could be grandfathered in. And yeah, similar to Emily's question about the ROI. So even if this isn't future-proofed, because I can't say that it is going to be, because no one knows the future. So if it's not future-proofed, then it will give students, an ROI that is incredibly subjective, and incredibly, relatable to your personal calling, and how you want to express that. So for me, the future-proofing is the 12-month experience will give students something that is kind of timeless and isn't ever going to run out. So it's those skills, that awareness, that community, that clarity that they need to then take the next step in their future. We also have the online community that students remain part of after they graduate. So that's still going to be there, and you're part of our alumni network. So you'll get lots of other, benefits and kind of premium accessibility to certain courses and conferences, and partner opportunities that come up. So those will always be coming down the pipeline as well. And often it's teaching roles as well. So we've just hired our first Vital student to join our team, and we've got another Vital student as well that we're going to bring on to the team. So I'm not saying that everyone's going to work with us, because we don't have quite so many jobs just yet, but that's just the sense that the skills that we've got, and through being part of this networking community, when opportunities come, you'll hear about them first, and you'll just be really well prepared to take those opportunities. So we've got, a couple of students right now that are business owners, CEOs of one is, what's called a vertically integrated psychedelic platform company with like 6 or 7 different companies, and the CEOs in my Vital group. We've got another drug development psychedelic CEO who's developing mescaline for pain disorders. So she's on our Vital course. We've got really amazing students doing totally different things. Ketamine clinic directors, Steve, the psychedelic journalist, that are future-proofing their Vital experience by converting it and integrating it into their vision of real life, personal, professional transformation. And that's what we always intend it to be. And that seems to be really what a lot of students are getting if they fully invest themselves in it. And it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch the recording of that. And then, no, if they're really, really fully invested and intentional about what this course means. So we've seen, we've seen students that come in with that kind of intention. And now, 11 months later, we can see kind of where they're at right now.
David, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again the core of this that my takeaway is community, and developing these these resilient networks, that mycelial network. If I can borrow a visualization, I think we've come up to the end of our session. We've hit 5 minutes over, actually. David, I think on behalf of Psychedelic Society, I'd really love to thank you so much for giving your time and for this partnership. It's great for us, it's great for our community. On behalf of Psychedelic Society, thank you, and I hope to see all of your wonderful faces at our next event. Yeah, catch you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers, Ashwin.